All right, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Silas.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Zane.
And we're going to go through and give a little brief introduction. I'm Silas again. I'm your son, and I'm here to sort of ask a lot of questions.
And have the main camera on you.
That's true.
Which is good. And I'm Silas's dad, so there you go.
Yeah, but what's your credibility? Why are you here? My credibility is I'm your kid. I was raised under your direction.
Yeah, God has blessed us with a lot of children, which doesn't mean anything other than, you have a fertile wife. Speaking of which.
Hey, let's just get to the point.
But you get to raise a lot of kids, and you have to go through a lot of trauma. It can cause a lot of trauma.
And what do you do for a living?
I run a program called Future Men. And I've done that for 23 years.
So it's a boarding school for boys.
Yes.
Most of them in their
21.
teenagers
Yeah.
who are struggling and need help and direction. And
Sometimes
a little bit of
intervention.
structure.
Yeah. A lot of structure.
And I worked there. I worked
Amen.
there for about 5 years now.
until you retire.
And yeah.
And you're pregnant.
And I'm pregnant. No, I got corrected.
Yes.
My wife is pregnant.
Amen.
And I am her support system.
If you're ever near my
So
wife,
good.
she loves it when men say we're pregnant. It's just her.
Does she think
She
she's
loves
the pregnancy expert? How many
might
kids
be.
has she had?
She's the pregnancy.
Come on. Really? You've had 14, you think you've done it all? Probably.
Maybe 15. All right. So,
So back to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift being engaged.
is that really what we're talking about?
No, but I was gonna. They posted on Instagram that her caption was your English teacher and your PE teacher are getting married, like a joke, because she like writes songs or whatever. And a lot of people are just like, PE teachers have like a stigma of just being dumb. I was like, it's perfect. He's got a meathead.
Is it?
Oh yeah, you listen to their podcast. It's really funny because it's just their brother,
Wait, who has a podcast?
Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
Jason was the center for the Eagles for like a
Oh,
long
wow.
time. Really good. Probably like one of the best. But they have a podcast, but it's funny because they're both sort of just like two bros talking about football, and it's like the IQ is like
6.
I mean, I'm sure it's there, but it's just not on display
It's
talking
really
about
low.
sports. But
I think they really lean into
They
the
do.
brother thing. And
Yeah.
they're just like messing with each other the whole time.
It's a very entertaining
That's kinda
podcast.
Yeah,
But
it's
just
kinda fun.
you go into it knowing you will learn.
Is it as
nothing.
good as this?
Are we talking viewership or content?
Viewership.
Oh, way better.
Maybe not for.
I don't even have to see their numbers. Way better.
All right. Wow.
Good time
We don't
for a
drink
water
on the
break.
podcast. I know you can't.
All right. So last week we talked about a lot of the sins of the mind, pride of the mind, anxiety, talking about when your kids come to you and you see things on display, anxiety, selfishness, all that sort of thing, and how to deal with that. And one of the things we mentioned and we talked about was when you start things like discipleship or family devotions or just the way you run your family and the things that you guys do in your house, you should always start with the end in mind. And so we kind of wanted to go over that more today because my very wise father realized that it sort of applies to literally everything you can do in your house. So we're going to run through a lot of examples today. It'll be a lot more practical, kind of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, take it away.
So we'll start with a story.
Why are you looking at me like that? Is this a story about me?
No.
Thank
Do you remember a guy named Caleb Captain?
I saw him on Facebook the other day. Really?
Really?
You mentioned that. I was stalking your Facebook to find old photos of
Yeah.
your 57 Chevy.
I have a lot on my
It's like
Facebook.
4.
I know.
I need pictures
I
of your
just use it
Chevy.
for marketplace.
Anyway, keep going.
So Caleb was one of my mentors. One of the mentors in our program. He worked for me. Super nice guy from Indiana.
It's a very different thing.
It's very different.
So he, anyway, we had, this is way back in the early days of Future Men. And we had I think we had 4 or 5 mentors working there at the time. And it was a break. We were going to go on a spring break in May. And he decided, hey, let's take a road trip with the mentors. So they said, great idea. Now, Caleb was a wild card, probably still is. I hope he is. He's a good guy. Caleb, if you're listening, I like you. Like and subscribe, Caleb. So anyway, you like that? So the mentors are all like, yeah, we're going to go on a road trip. We're going to go. He wouldn't tell them where they were going. He just said, we're going to go somewhere. So there's a reason he didn't tell them where they were going to go.
He
So-
said no.
They got all the money. Everybody decided how much to pay for gas and how much, they bought snacks and food and all this stuff. And they all show up. And the first thing he does is he gets pillowcases out of his car. And everybody has to wear a pillowcase over their head that isn't driving. And then the driver
Good clarification.
takes off. just goes. And they drive for like, I think 2 hours in 2 hour blocks. And they'll listen to not in those days, they didn't have podcasts, but listen to the radio. They could talk or sleep, whatever. And then when they would stop for gas or every 2 hours, switch drivers, that guy has a pillowcase on his head. And wherever they end up, they end up. That was their road trip. Now, there was some fun moments because, it was interesting to say the least because, you run into dead end roads. They found themselves stranded in places with no gas.
This is like my definition of the worst trip ever.
Oh yeah, but Caleb made it fun, and he had a knack of doing that. But I told them I've used this many times in parenting classes, teaching like great. Well, I don't know if it's a great idea, fun idea for maybe one vacation with a bunch of guys that you're just all kind of dumb and having fun. Not a good plan for parenting. You don't just get in the car and put a pillowcase over your head and say, let's see where it ends up.
And just have fun.
Yeah, there's that saying that says, if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time, which is 100% true.
Did you come up with that?
I did.
That's really good.
I coined that phrase. Yeah, thank you. So just keep that in mind for today, because we're going to say, hey, have a goal. Don't just aim for nothing, but rather be thinking about these things. First thing I would say, there's a verse, Psalm 127, verse 1, I believe it is. That's what the show notes say. Which says, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. And it's like very true. And that would be like, unless the Lord builds the house. So your direction for your family should come from, your spiritual convictions, which mostly come from the reading of God's word. They can also come from other people's like good spiritual wisdom and counsel. Because, for example, you mentioned Douglas Wilson in our last podcast. And you said you were surprised that he recommended sports, right? But he does. He also recommends Christian schools as opposed to even homeschool, as opposed to public school for sure. But he recommends Christian schools. And it's like, so I would, I read his book called
Future Men.
That too. Excused Absence. And it was about taking your kids out of, basically the public school system. And his recommendation to put them in Christian schools. So when Laura and I were just having new kids, right? And trying to figure out what do we want to do for schooling, that was one of the resources we used. Now, I went in a slightly different direction. We homeschooled instead, but it's the same, his counsel was important to me. I wanted to think through some different men's thoughts who've been there and who seem to have some success. We also asked the pastor of our church, who has 4 amazing kids, our old pastor. Pastor Jeff has good kids too, but this is Rich Tolliver. Loved his kids, felt like, okay, what are they doing? And we listened to him, listened to his reasons why, and kind of watched their results.
What did they do?
They homeschooled their kids until high school, and then sent them to high school. Now we deviated, but we looked at scripture, we looked at counsel, right, and then we made a decision and a plan, and then strove to keep that plan, unless God made it obvious, hey, this plan's going south, right? Don't be afraid to stop and rethink things. But anyway, that's sort of our super fast nutshell of school stories. But
there's just a lot of intentionality.
Yeah, exactly. And not just our great wisdom, but rather reading some books, talking to people that we see as good examples in our lives, right? We also talked to the Bowsers about this, and they homeschooled. And it was that was one of our pretty big, influences in our life.
So before we get super practical and look through these examples on that, a thing we hear a lot these days from a lot of parents is, well, every kid's different.
Yep. And
my kids are different. And meaning their individual kids are different, the siblings are different from each other, but also well, you wouldn't understand our family. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I don't want to dominate, but I guess you don't have any kids yet, so you can't say much. So you do have a kid right now. Then you have a little piece of rice. He's about this, or she.
Appleseed.
Appleseed? Okay,
yeah,
good.
We're doing the fruit.
Johnny Appleseed.
You
guys want to sing that
piece
song?
Of rice. What?
For giving me the things I need, the sun and moon, the apple tree, the apple seed.
We
the
just got
Lord's
canceled
been good
on
to
podcasts.
me.
People just
Amen.
ditched us.
Sometimes when we were kids, we would all start singing at that table because we didn't want to pray before dinner. We just wanted to sing a quick song.
Oh, I do remember that now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in mind, So back to your question.
Anyway.
What's your question?
What about the comeback?
Oh, yeah.
Well, every kid is different.
Yeah, they're not. There you go.
I mean, they are.
So here's this is kind of cool, actually. So in our early days of parenting, we felt like, because my wife and I are really different in terms of our personalities, she's incredibly like organized, intentional,
Better.
structured, better. Yes, she would say so. And she is. But that being the case, when we first started doing parenting classes, it wasn't because we thought we knew what we were doing. It was because we want to keep reminding ourselves, hey, look, you got to keep on this. And there's something about a parenting class that really is, a lot of people are stressed out. They're looking for help. They want to get intentional. And it just constantly reminds you, oh yeah, that's us. Oh yeah, we can't lose that drive. And we found that just teaching classes kept you there. So we've been doing it, good grief, 33 years now.
Long
And
time.
and it's the exact same thing. We literally just said that we're going to start up again. And I was inviting Zane, because now they have a child, to, and don't hate us for me saying this, but like growing kids
Now
goes
we're
away.
canceled.
Now we're canceled. Gary and Emery Ezzo from the 80s. But here's the thing. It is very foundational. And what I learned in that particular, series was that, yeah, it's like kids are all different, but they're not the exception, right? God does have standards. God does have things that we need to be instilling in our children. And this is a great format to walk you through the basics of most of those things. Is it perfect? No. Do people take it and like treat it like gospel and ruin their families? Yes. But it's like you just keep adding to your knowledge base of God's word, men's interpretation of God's word and how that is applied through like stuff by Vodi Bakum on parenting, stuff by the Ezzos on parenting, stuff by Ted Tripp on parenting, stuff by, you name them. There's tons of good stuff. Even some very good secular stuff that's like the principles are legit. The motivation is just wrong, right? They want like a kid that's like, well, we all want a good kid, but like, it's not necessarily for the kingdom. It's just for our family, which that's okay, I guess. Day to day, that's how it plays out.
It's a second order benefit.
Yeah, but reality is they're still little sinners. And like, if that's your goal and your kid goes south, you feel like a failure.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So the reason we're going through this is because when you want to start with the end in mind,
Yes.
with your goal, you have to figure out what that end is, which
Yep.
is what you're saying. And it's important because as you go through the classes, unless you marry your sibling, which if you do that,
Arkansas.
call in because we want to
Where you're
talk
from?
to you.
Is Lizzie your sibling?
She's from Nebraska.
She kind of looks like you a little bit, actually.
Okay.
You have cute kids.
Staying on track here.
Oh, sorry.
So first, if you did that, call in because we do want to talk with you.
No. Actually, sure.
Don't marry your sibling. But if you didn't, the reality is that as similar as you guys think you are, you probably have a lot of differences in mind. Like Jules and I talk about going to this parenting class, it's nice because you go in not with the expectation of whatever these people say is exactly what we're going to do.
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
But what it does do is it brings up all the things and you might leave. And after you're talking about it, I'm like, oh, I love what they said. And she's like, oh, I hated that. I think it's a bad way to raise your kids. So it just brings it up and you guys can come to an agreement and talk through that versus, like you said, sort of winging it and having fun and realizing by the time your kid's 14 that fun doesn't look like such a great time anymore.
Yeah, you almost, so we get a lot of I can't wait till they're 18. And they actually begin, the Bible says, if you withhold discipline from your child, right, you hate him. I mean, it literally says that. And it's like, that's a big thing. And discipline isn't just spanking, right? Discipline is all the training, it's the planning, it's the discipleship, it's the talks. That's the big picture. And it's like, you really have to have a plan because you really will go nowhere. But there are no exceptions to your particular kid. And then, as I was saying, and I lost track, that's the beauty of having 14 kids. Because now it's like, because in the early days, we'd do a parenting class and people would say, oh, you have easy kids. I mean, I literally had one guy from my work tell me, well, your kids are just easy. We have
had
like
someone tell
3
us
or
that.
4.
You guys have they're just the easiest twins.
Yeah, and I'm like, bull honky, you have no idea what our house looks like. It's like, this is not easy, but it is intentional. And that's the difference. And I feel like, okay, now that we have had 14, it's like, oh, we got lucky 14 times. No, it's just discipline, direction, helps the kids. Now they're still human. Like I said, they're still going to go their way, but I feel like it really has paid off in the sense of all our kids are like, they really do want to like glorify the Lord. They are raising their kids in a way that I think glorifies the Lord. I feel like there's I don't want to say success because this is God's deal. It's not judged on human merit or human success notches or whatever. It's just we're trying to be faithful. But I like taking that excuse away. It's like, hey, dude, don't say these are easy kids or you got lucky. One guy told me once, he said, well, you live out in the country, so it's easier for you because you have those things at your disposal. And I completely agree. But what I told him was, okay, that's fine. But that's a choice. You chose to live in the suburbs where there's less things you can be doing, but you just got to find a way of completing the same task, right? It doesn't matter necessarily where you live. God can call us anywhere. He happened to call us, Herbieville, Missouri. I mean, Podunkville. But it's like,
Yeah.
but I love it. And it worked out great for our family.
So, real quick before we get into the super practical, we're going to talk about the parable of talents from Matthew, where the master gives each one of his servants a certain amount, and their job is to like essentially invest it and multiply it and do good with it, right? So we're going to talk about how that applies to your kids. But when we were talking about the end in mind, what is the measure of success? What is the end in mind for a parent? Not talking about their kids, because I think a lot of parents, like because you said, they'll get confused thinking their end goal is a great kid.
Yep.
And that's not the goal.
Yeah. So, since you haven't talked much, talk about future men for a second. And what we'll tell parents with why we do the trades, why we do the education part, right? Besides the law, but like, you probably don't know where I'm going with this. I'll just say it. Zane, if you have something to say, just chime in. So just have clean hands. We want to be good stewards of these kids. There isn't necessarily my kid has a 6-figure income. My kid is, married by 25 or college graduate or, whatever the earthly,
Standard.
yeah, or mile markers, whatever. It's like, those are good and that's fine. It's neat when some of those things get clicked off. But reality is, like I've told parents when they bring their kid to Future Men, I'm like, look, at the end of the day, he'll graduate from high school, he'll have job training, and he'll have, he's exposed to 14 hours a week of, biblical counsel. And it's like, that's a lot. You can stand with clean hands in the sense of, yes, you abdicated your authority a little bit. You tapped somebody on the shoulder, like in a wrestling match, and said, hey, help, because he's not listening to me, or he's in a dangerous spot, or whatever the circumstances are that made you reach out for help, right? That's fine. But you're going to get those tangibles in his hands. He'll have job training. He can provide for himself if he chooses to work. He'll have his education if he chooses to go to the military or go to college, have something where that door is open to him. So the idea of getting clean hands, and it's not too late. Again, for something like Future Men, sometimes you have to look outside of your own resources because it's gotten out of control. Or maybe you started late, or your kid is just bent on himself. He just, he's just won't listen. And you've done it. We have families that blow my mind with their efforts and their love for their kid. And honestly, their plan. But sometimes the plan does go south. And I tell those parents, don't sit there and beat yourself up. You're enlisting help from another brother in Christ with the same direction in mind. Praise God. That's great. You were a good steward. You still are a good steward. That's what I think we should try to be ending up on. Was I faithful? Like the parable of the talents, like you said. Did I make the most of what we had? Not what somebody else has, not the kids somebody else has. And some people even choose to adopt, right? Which is like an amazing gesture of love, because you're taking somebody else's responsibility, even they've already started the game and maybe went down a wrong path for a while and said, oh, by the way, you can take my kid now. And it's like, that's rough. But I've seen parents do it and just embrace it with love, and we're pouring everything we have into this kid, and they have a goal in mind, right? And I've seen, we've had about 85% of our boys through Future Men have been adopted. That's like a common denominator there. But I feel like those parents are hyper intentional, and that's great.
Yeah.
But it still can go bad because, again, you're still dealing with genetics. You're still dealing with, you didn't necessarily get them from day one, and then even if you did, right, there's still there can be at times a mindset in the kid of just like, well, you're not my real family. And they're using that as an excuse to sort of do what they want. So again, it's about the idea of there's a goal.
Your goal is to, like as parents, your goal is to glorify God, like above all and everything else. That's like the end goal. And sometimes sometimes that would look like having a great kid that brings glory to God. And everybody's like, wow, he's such a good example and such a light. And sometimes that might be a kid that's very rebellious and that hopefully ends up coming back to the faith afterwards, and that story brings glory to God. And it's going to look different for everybody, which is interesting. But the goal isn't good kids; it's to be good stewards and to bring glory to God. And that's just important because, like you said, you can get caught up in if my kids aren't good, I'm a failure.
Right.
And then who was it about the whole time? It was just about you and what you wanted your family to look like.
It really makes you mad.
Yeah. So, all that being said, now that we know what the goal is in the end zone, in the end time, that was we're going to go through some super practical things. So, start with the end in mind. What do you do when your kids start asking the questions of Dad, Mom, when can I get a phone?
Okay.
Zane.
Since you've told them so little. Now, we have a list of like categories. These are not ranked by, maybe we should have, but ranked by the age. It's not ranked by, importance.
It's also not exhaustive.
We're just walking you through some examples. So phones, what would you tell your kid?
Well, I think like what's important to understand is this concept that I think we talk about a lot at Future Men, but we get from actually growing kids like the Ezos, their ministry. But it's a great concept of what can your kid handle? What are they ready for, right? So they call it the freedom funnel. And it's where you start your kid off with
turn the funnel upside down,
right? It's not they're up here and then they get funneled down. It's you turn it up on its head. They start here,
very
right?
small.
And mic to my mouth. I know.
Limited freedom at the beginning.
Limited freedom at the beginning. So that's really helpful, I think, for parents to think of everything in their parenting through that framework. It's like, what is my kid? What have they shown that they're ready for? So first, they have to prove that they're ready for it. First, they have to prove that they're trustworthy in an area before they get it. And that may seem harsh, I think, for a lot of people, because it's like, well, if my kid hasn't really done anything wrong in this area, why shouldn't I trust them? But I think that's where just being wise and knowing the human heart comes in, right? Because just because your kid hasn't really shown some of those sins that might be dangerous with certain things. So like we're talking about a phone.
Yep.
So let's say your kid's 11 and they're asking you, hey, like all my friends have a phone. Like, can I have a phone?
Stop. That, literally stop.
Wait, I have one thing to say. We can cut this out. You keep waving your hand, which is
don't cut that out. That's amazing.
Well, you're waving in front of my camera.
Corrective. Oh yeah,
I wanted to block your
blocking the beautiful face.
Star.
Don't cut that out, Gabe.
Anyway, so keep our mics in front. Careful.
So anyway,
you should keep a strike count of every time.
To be on you when Zane is talking.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's actually right.
It's going to
Just well, I'm gonna
switch
turn
back
on.
and
I think we need a
right.
counter in the corner of every time Aaron touches Silas, just like for each episode.
He is my son. I love him.
I know. I just think it's
I
funny.
love you. So back to the phone.
So the kid is 11.
I
He
said
says,
stop.
I was just going back to where we were.
Back to the phones, and you said stop.
I said stop.
Yeah.
Because that's all the criteria the kid gives. Literally, my friends have one.
Yeah.
Now, if they get smart and manipulative, they will say, I'm safer with the phone. You needed to contact me. This is actually not what the kid says. This is what the parent justifies giving the kid the phone, so shut up. But this is how they justify it. Well, safety, he needs a phone. Or she needs it. I mean, yeah, definitely. If my little girl is at public school and there's any kind of transportation issues, like getting to and from, I would be thinking, I want my little girl to have a phone. I'd be scared. But a better idea would be a tracker. Just stick one of those thinking, I don't know what they're called, those little round
Air tag.
air tag on it. Yeah, make him wear it every day. Put it in like a belt or something, and then give him a track, like a flip phone, an old, just with no internet access at all, but she can text and call you, right? And then put limited, like you can block other things. Just make it to where it's like it gets what she thinks she's wanting. She doesn't think she wants that actually. It takes it out of your mind of like, I've provided for them the parameters that I think she needs in today's world to be safe, to be, I can get a hold of them if I need to without the risk of the pornography, the internet, all the stuff that can come up.
Bad influences.
Oh my goodness. I mean, at 10, 11, because kids are literally getting phones that young. But most of them aren't getting phones for safety. They're getting them because they have games on them. The parents want to keep them occupied.
Social media.
The parents are tired of saying no.
Yeah.
So that when you turn 9, we'll get you your phone. And it's like, well, when you turn 14, we'll give you future men. And it's like, they kind of go hand in hand. So, just saying.
I think phones is a big
Sorry.
one, and we could probably do a whole episode just on phones because of all. I don't know why we started with that. That's my bad. But
This is your bad.
you're literally putting in the hands of your child like the most dangerous weapon like the world uses to get a hold. Like there is no like question now. Every single algorithm on every single app is literally designed only to suck you in further and to
Addiction.
keep you longer.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like they have scientists employed just for this. And maybe that'll change with legislation in the future, maybe it won't. But for right now, where we're at, it's
there.
It's designed. And so I think you're literally more like you're not even setting yourself up for failure. You're signing up for it.
Yeah. So
And
a resource, watch Childhood 2.0 or Social Dilemma. They're both kind of like
There's-
5 years old now.
There's a Social Dilemma 2 coming out.
That'd be great. You really need to watch it if you're a parent and you haven't. Just watch it. Who cares if some of it's cheesy or possibly slightly out of date now?
Or secular, even like it's.
It's not a
Yeah.
Christian. Neither one of them are. But
Which
they're
is
amazing.
telling, which is super telling, I feel.
Oh yeah, they see the need.
Yeah.
If you want a Christian one, there's that one called
Captivated.
Captivated, which is like way out of date now. We need to do another one.
We
Not
will
we,
release
but,
a new
Christians need to.
movie next year.
We should do one. Well, maybe Gabe, because Gabe's here now. He's a filmer, so supposedly he's a documentary guy. So Gabe, pull your weight.
Pull your weight.
Just say yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun.
All right. What else?
Wait, I was going to say one more thing.
Okay.
Just a helpful idea because you said a tracker and a flip phone because that's really like what you need if they're in public school or like if your kid is driving. I totally agree. They should have some way to contact you if they need you because anything can happen. Flip phones work just as good as smartphones to call and to text. Yes, they're a little slower and they're kind of annoying. Who cares? Like you're saving your kid from world of trouble. Not every flip phone doesn't have access to the internet though, so you still have to be careful with that.
Then do your homework.
But the other thing I was going to say is what a lot of families do, including you, and I don't even think it was intentional with you and mom, but like they have, okay, what am I about to talk about?
I don't know.
They have a family phone. Like you guys have a phone, like some families call it like the kitchen phone, where you have a phone that's kept in an open area in the living room, in the dining room, in the kitchen, that the kids have access to, that has restrictions on it, that they're not allowed to take in their bedroom, that they're not allowed to be on alone, but that they can use for like fun stuff. Like they take pictures with it. They sometimes use it to pull pictures up to draw with. They text me all the time.
Yeah, they use it every day.
Ren calls me every single day, which is very cute. And sometimes, anyway, it's mostly just very cute. I really do love it. It would be sad if she didn't. But that's a great solution. Something that like they don't get privately, they don't have ownership over it, but they have access to it to limited degrees and knowing like with what you said with the Freedom Funnel, that this is a privilege and it's not a right. It's something that can be taken away when it's abused or when other things are abused.
Yeah, there is a bit of a training period, right? They've got it. It's under your control. Now, again, we homeschool, so that like it sort of makes an unfair advantage. And I do believe it is an advantage. That'll be a whole nother episode maybe. But like, as you're making these decisions, when we give our examples, you might not always have something that's parallel to that. That's fine. Think of the principle, right? The principle was figure out what's the heart behind this and then control it. And then have an end goal with it.
If you really want an answer to it, send us an email at futurefamilies@gmail.com and
True.
we'll answer it on the podcast.
Yep.
And really, it's kind of like, that it's not a parable. It's what's a modern parable? What do we call it? A metaphor.
The Pilgrim's Progress.
Allegory.
An allegory.
Yeah.
When people say you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
You actually can. I tried that.
That's actually super
It's
good.
harder to put the toothpaste back.
Can we get a
It's
new
kind of-
example, please?
It's kind of that idea where
We love
it's harder to take freedoms away from your kids
Oh, yeah.
after they are already accustomed to them. It's almost like this whiplash feeling for your kid. It's like you trusted me and now like you don't trust me, and maybe it's deserved, but still once they've grown accustomed to that, it does feel a lot more personal. It feels a lot more frustrating. Vindictive.
Kids use these words.
Yeah. And they're not necessarily wrong, because it's like you used to not care, almost is how they feel. You didn't care what was going on, but now all of a sudden you do. And I hear that a lot. And it's not just phones. Phones is a great example, but dating, I think, is another big one. Because
He is jumping all
Wait,
over our
before
list.
we get there, wait, are you going to like really dive into dating right now?
No,
So-
I'm just gonna
Okay,
listen.
go ahead.
Keep going.
Well,
You guys are odd. I won't talk. You guys
No, we
I'm
won't.
not saying I want you to talk. I just want you to say exactly what I want to hear.
There's one that I can't read, but there's sports, there's dating, there's
Oh, it
jobs.
says
Stuff.
stove.
It says stuff.
Oh,
There's two
You
F's.
are a horrible English person.
Friends,
If you guys want to write it on the board,
All right,
you
keep
might
going.
guess.
Keep going.
all these things. We can do a deep dive on each of those subjects, but I think it remains true in each one of those areas. Once
Yeah,
you've already given your
absolutely.
kid freedom in that area to take it back, it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, and that really is that's one of the main things we'll hear when parents do bring their sons to Future Men is we've taken everything away. We've tried everything. And I always get sort of sad because I'm thinking, okay, I know many things you haven't tried, not because I'm so wise, but because we've been in this a long time and we've heard a lot of things parents have tried. And then, in raising our own children, we've tried things too. Some work well, some don't. But we'll continue to walk down through this list. And like Silas said, if you got a specific question about something we didn't cover, or maybe, hey, great, thanks for the stuff on the phones, but what do we do in this situation? Because it's a little bit different. Our kid's not the exception. One of the things I tell Future Men boys all the time, because they all, not all, but a lot of them have this idea they want to get a tattoo. They feel like, they see it in our society a lot. And I'll say, look, I'll pay for a tattoo for you, but it's only going to be on your hand and it's going to say, I'm not the exception. I said, that's a tattoo that as a parent, I can see letting you have.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Because they honestly have to think that. So the kid's doing drugs, right? I'm the guy that's not going to get addicted. I'm the guy that it won't ruin my life. Never mind statistics or everybody else, but I know this one friend that he didn't ruin his life. And I'm like, how old is he? Oh, he's 15. Oh, great example.
A lot of life still left to ruin there.
But that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
So these little caveats that we're going to give you, we have next down is sports.
Wait, before we get there, you said one thing that was really good, or I don't remember who said it, but you said it's a training ground when you're talking about the kitchen phone. That's a great, I think, intention
Tool.
and point and tool. And a way to think about it is that you don't want to go the polar opposite end where you give them nothing and then at 18 it's here's a smartphone with no restrictions on it.
Right.
It's going to go down a horrible path. And so using these opportunities not to take things away and hold things back from your kid, but to teach them to handle them with adult and Christ-like responsibility.
So on that, you asked earlier in the previous podcast, you were asking when you're talking with Angus, right, for discipleship, and he tells you the little things.
Oh yeah.
So dealing with phones, right? So he's confessed. It seems like two of our kids specifically did this idea of the Carver was this way for a long time, about a year.
Maybe we should
Naming names
Yeah,
out
so
here.
I'm gonna say Carver.
No, really. Probably shouldn't name names.
All right, so Silas.
We'll just always say Silas.
A lot of editing here. Sorry,
Angus,
Gabe.
don't edit this out. Angus did this the other
Just
day.
blur it
He was
out.
talking about when he was on the phone, right, that he's allowed to use, and then something comes up, right? I think I mentioned
Yeah.
last time that he typed in, he was good.
Yeah.
I forget what it was.
You talked about it last
yeah. But it's that happens. But the fact that he told me, and it didn't happen to go anywhere at that time. But I said, now I was relieved. I'm thinking, oh gosh, what rabbit hole are we going down now? Or what does he expose himself to? Because it's scary as a parent. I mean, I know it's scary. But because he didn't, it was pretty neat that we could just say, okay, what if this had come up? What if, what do you do when? Because you're going to feel that titillation. You're going to feel that.
And we're back. We're right back.
You're going to feel that your heart rate pulse up when you see a naked woman, right? And that's going to come on phones a lot. And when I say naked woman, even for a kid who's 13 in a bikini or in clickbait that's all over the phones.
Workout.
Yeah, it's it just makes your stomach excited, the little butterflies, and for kids it gets them going. So
Your
talk about it.
stomach gets excited.
Well, you can go about it on a roller coaster.
It's just stirring.
A stirring in your not groin.
Okay.
Bowels.
So before we keep going on
Bowels
this
of
road,
mercy.
that's a good example of using it as a training ground.
Yeah.
And you didn't yank the privilege away from him for having those thoughts. You just were talk through it and what do you do?
Yep.
Okay, so we stay on track because I know we're all bad at staying on track. So we talked about phones a little bit. If you have more questions, send them in. Sports. What do you do with sports?
Yep.
Oh, because I've done this.
Yeah,
We
I
haven't. You go through this. Or did you actually play sports growing up?
I did, yeah.
You did Arkansas sports.
Which is still sports.
Is that different?
Well, he like
Stump jumping, mud puddle,
shooting
hopping.
skeet, eagle scouting.
I played soccer.
Did you? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned something new about you. You're like, well, no, you're not
Latino.
like that, but what?
Soccer, come on. Football.
Okay. Anyway, so go through. Yeah, just go. You know.
Yeah, so I'm not really having a lot come to my mind with sports in particular. I haven't thought about it deeply.
Oh, I have.
Okay, you take this one.
Yeah.
Well, let me say real quick. We talked about sports a lot in the last episode, so let's go over this one quickly.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just, again, what's the end goal? You have to be thinking, okay, we have multiple children or just this one child. Who else is going to want to do this? What is their schedule going to be like? How far are we from wherever the event is? Is it the kind of sports that requires like where they have the weekend trips where there's those, what do they call it, all day sports?
Travel teams.
Yeah, that's true too. But they'll have like, I forget what it's called, but like elimination rounds, where there's like, it's an all day thing,
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, club volleyball, soccer. I mean, every sport has it. You just got to decide what's it worth. And many people, especially men, I would say probably majority of men, get their kids into sports because it's fun, right? They wanted to do it. They didn't get the exposure they wanted, or maybe they did. Or they're thinking, man, my kid shows this great talent at, 8, and he's going to get like a college scholarship or become a professional. Somebody does. I get that, right? Somebody will be, but just count the cost. Is it delving in? Because I got our parenting class right now. One of the parents, they have older kids and they kind of are helpers. And they talk about like, yeah, we haven't done devotions for the last 2 weeks really because every night is something sports related. Or the night that isn't sports related, now we have to do, something else to catch up for when we were gone.
Or we're just exhausted.
Well, yeah, exactly. So if it's public school sports versus some kind of a club team sport that requires 1 day a week versus 3 days a week after school, you just got to like lay out all the parameters of it and think, okay, we're not just going to do it because my kid wants to or because I did it. Just think through what will be taught, what's it worth. It's an analysis.
Well, go back and listen to the last episode if you're wondering about sports specifically, because we addressed it in pretty big detail. What about jobs? So your kid comes to you, he's
a good one.
15, and he's like, Dad, I really want to go work at Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A is like the only place that hires minors. And
homeschool kids.
And homeschool kids.
Mostly.
They know what they're doing, though, let me tell you. They can whip up a chicken sandwich. Yeah, we know you don't like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I love their attitude. I love their stance.
Are you liberal?
No.
Oh, okay, just wondering. Anyway.
Except when it comes to Chick-fil-A.
So jobs. Let's go through that.
Yeah, so I think part of what, like going off of what you were saying with sports, like time commitment and stuff, because if you start letting them get connected outside of and have commitments outside of the home, and that's less time that they're spending with the family, maybe being a part of family devotions, or just like family functions in general. And now they have like an actual commitment. Like there's another authority over them too, in a sense.
And there's another family involved.
And another family involved.
That becomes part of their group, which is okay, maybe.
Right. So it's just, you kind of have to think as a parent, are we ready for this as a family? And is this particular child ready for that? Do they have their driver's license? Are they a safe driver? What can they handle when it comes to that type of stuff?
What's it going to require of you as the parent? And are you really willing to do that and your other commitments, or is something going to suffer? Mm-hmm. Like when my kids have worked at Chick-fil-A, for example, because I think 2 or 3 have, and Angus wants to work there now,
I think,
which is hilarious.
5.
But Lori already knows, right? She's thinking you can say these days, you can say these times, because she knows that will coincide with when either she or I will already be in town, or is a night that we can commit to going and picking them up because he can't drive it. But you're thinking through those things. I'm thinking of it we don't care about the money. So for example, when Hawken was 14, he wanted to work for a Jeff Michelle for an electric. And I'm like, great. And Jeff's asking me, well, how much, what do you want me to pay him? I'm like, nothing. Because I'm not interested in money. We don't need money. He doesn't need money, right? I'll pay for his, to get in there. We'll figure out a way to get him there and back. I want experience and I want you to train this kid. So the goal wasn't money. The goal was he wants a trade because he's not, and he isn't now. He's like 20, I don't know how old he is, 22. He's not a college kid. He didn't want to go to, more education. He wanted to work, and he's doing a great job. But it's
Still
like,
for that company.
yeah, that was his training. That was his first, no, that wasn't his first job, but that was his first real, like, I want to go outside of my, what I know and learn something. To me, that's a big thing on jobs. So you're teaching responsibility, you're teaching money management, you're teaching taking, orders from any other authority besides mom and dad, huge. But if your goal is money, or that's your kid's goal, remember, they're going to go to the first job that's available or that pays the most. But let's just say that, and I'll use an example like that's pretty common. It's a pizza place, or it's like a Sonic or something. And most of the other employees there, you wouldn't want your kid around if it wasn't for that job. It's like, well, because it's for that job, you've made an exception. Next thing you know, your kid's exposed to all those things without your control at all. You can't just step in, other than saying you can't work there anymore, which is going to make them mad. You're taking away something that you said they could have because you haven't really thought it through what could happen. And you may not have a choice. You may be like, we needed to make money to help our family make ends meet. I get that. So you'll work through those things, but you've got to have an end goal in mind before you say, yeah, let's get him a job. Just because he wants one. It's irrelevant that he wants one or she. It's more, well, why do you need it? What's going to be learned here? What's the pros and cons?
Yeah.
And being industrious, fantastic. Working, awesome.
And and I think too, like two things. Your end goal as a parent shouldn't be money.
Right.
Your kid's goal probably will be money. And that's not necessarily a horrible thing, but I think it's a great opportunity to really show your kid, like, what are you selling yourself for? Like, because if you're like putting yourself at risk, around all these people that are bad influences, your kid knows they're bad influences, so they should know that if they have like good discretion, right? You're like, is it really worth, $12 an hour to constantly be inundated with this horrible influence?
Yep.
And it's a great time to like learn that and teach that, hopefully, like you said, before. And then the other thing is when you talked about like, they're going to miss family time, they're going to miss this time, they're going to miss, that's not necessarily just to put out there like that. You're not saying that's bad, but you do have to count the costs and know what you're getting into. Don't go into it assuming they're going to be there for everything, and you shouldn't go into it trying to force them to be there for everything after you told them you could get a job. Yeah. It's a balance after that.
And that, talk about like in Future Men, because we see this with jobs a lot. Everything was going fine. Kid starts working at X, and let's say he's made a grand total of $2,500 in the 9 months that he's worked at this place, right? But you lost your kid. Now he's doing drugs because the people at this place did, or now he's got this girlfriend that's like so far from anything you would have wanted for him because he met her at this place. There was no accountability, and it's like, was it worth $2,500?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think reality is you have to think about what kind of people are going to be working at the types of places that are going to hire your 14-year-old or your 15-year-old.
Other 14 and 15-year-olds.
And that's why money shouldn't be a matter. Because if money doesn't matter, if you're willing to let him work for free, then you just upped your game on who wants this kid. Now you can go to like a place, let's say like an engineering company in town that could use an office intern, and they're going to learn great things. But they don't want to pay the kid to listen to you guys or empty the trash or be exposed to this business. But if it's an apprenticeship, they'll do it. Same thing with a mechanic. No mechanic wants to hire a 15-year-old or 14-year-old kid. But if you say, hey, it's free, now they're interested.
Which is not a very popular idea. It's very upstream in culture. Like the amount of pushback I hear from just random people about somebody working for free. Like even the idea of giving your kids an allowance or something comes from this, like, I don't want my kid to have to work for free. But you have to, like, as a parent, if you struggle with that, you really have to switch your mindset and realize, no, they're gaining something way more valuable than money.
Oh yeah, money will be spent.
Money's they're going to spend it on something dumb, right?
It's not free to have a 15-year-old slowing down your business because that's typically what they do.
Right.
Like, you have to teach them, you have to show them, they're going to get a lot of things wrong. They're probably going to make some costly mistakes.
That was it's not free to have a 15-year-old slow down your business because that's exactly what's happening for the first 6 months, let's say.
When you talk about like when you have a 4-year-old who you're trying to teach to take out the trash is going to taken out wrong a million different ways before they start to get it right. And it's going to be the same thing with the teenager changing tires.
Oh yeah.
No, that's a great point. And as parents, keep that in mind with whatever job they're choosing, who you want them to be with. It's having a goal in mind. the goal in mind for this with a young man, let's say, is he's going to be a provider and protector of a family. So who do I want him around? Right?
Mhm.
Somebody who's doing that and doing it well, not necessarily, flipping burgers. Now, there's nothing wrong with working at a fast food place. You could even own the place someday and make great money. But and not that money's your goal, but anyway. But think about what the goal is. And with your
Yeah.
daughter, it's the same thing. It's like, well, why do you want her working? What is she learning? How is she serving? How is she getting back to the body of Christ, right? And what risks is she at? Because it is a higher risk, in my opinion, at least for a girl. And we're very protective of our, daughters and wives, and I feel like it matters.
And again, risk isn't bad to a point. It just needs
Right.
to be fully considered and not jumped into blindly.
Yep, good.
What about, let's go. So sort of on phones, and this actually sort of plays into the jobs and them getting money and buying things. Let's talk about privacy versus ownership with your kids.
Okay.
Yeah, that is versus, yeah. Go
So I
ahead.
made a mouth noise. He
Yeah, no, that's my tick.
Go ahead, buddy.
I think that's probably one of the biggest complaints I get from students at Future Men is like, I don't have any privacy, because they don't. They live in a room with a bunch of other kids and a mentor.
And a mentor, yeah.
And there's really no private spaces in the school intentionally, right? But reality is a lot of these kids had a lot of privacy. They have their own rooms, sometimes in their own wing of the house. They have, yeah, I mean,
I don't even know what a wing
literally.
is.
Yeah,
Birds have two of them.
literally.
Thank you.
But what it's gotten them is they were given this type of privacy long before they were ever ready for it.
Yeah.
And this has kind of become a breeding ground for their secret sins.
What do you mean? I'm testing you here, right? What do you mean long before they were ready for it? So here you are. How old are you saying?
29,
And you're married.
and I'm married.
How much privacy are you enjoying now?
Not much.
Not much. So what exactly do you mean? And maybe you didn't even mean it, right? But what is privacy for a kid? What is appropriate in your mind? Privacy, and what is something we may have given them without putting much thought to it? Privacy.
Yeah, and what I think I meant by that is just I think parents sometimes feel like, oh, my kid deserves to have their own room. Like they're trustworthy, right? They think that in their mind. But it's kind of a I don't even know really where that idea comes from. But
Selfishness.
Entitlement.
selfishness, yeah. But I feel like it's multi-generational,
We're not
right?
prejudiced.
Like even the idea, like in the I think it's like Full House. Have you ever seen that show?
We don't watch
We
it.
don't watch
Like
it.
whenever I love that show right now, but I always thought it was funny.
Explains a lot.
I always thought it was funny when Danny Tanner would knock on his kid's door before he'd go in. He'd wait for them to say,
I
you
did
come
see
in."
that and Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, and I was always like, what do you mean? Like, why are you
Yeah.
knocking? Just go in. It's your house. It's your kid. Like, you don't have to knock. But it's just kind of a weird concept. But
So again,
privacy-
what is okay though? What privacy is needed? Because there is some.
I know this bathroom.
Yes, changing.
Like you're not gonna like when you say don't knock, there's a difference between like knocking for permission and knocking to let them know you're coming in. And they can be like, whoa, I'm naked. Okay, cool. Finish changing. Like that's not what we're saying at all.
Right,
Like, that's where privacy, totally normal. I think the difference here, and I heard this from another podcast, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he was talking about marriages, and he's like, if your spouse doesn't have the password to your phone and your social media accounts and all that, they can't just go through at any time. He's like, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And he talks about there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. And secrecy is where we're actually getting a lot of this, where everything's ending up. And you don't have a right to secrets because the only thing you really need to keep secret typically is sin. And like we talked about, like sin doesn't stagnate. It's just going to get worse in the dark. And so when you're talking about this with your kids, I think, and you talk about the whole narrative, besides, correct me if I'm wrong, besides the whole, obviously you're going to respect their like changing and that sort of stuff. And it's not like you need to go through all your kids' drawers every day and like you can't have anything closed away or hidden, clear glass, everything. It's just that like you don't have a right to keep things hidden. Pretty much with everything. Correct me if I'm missing something.
I think there's a like last night in our devotion time, Ren and Briar both brought up because we were going through this Daniel series by John MacArthur, and they went and grabbed their notebooks and their Bibles real quick. And I was like, oh, cool. And now, as I'm watching them, I notice in Briar's notebook, she likes to draw little things, and she has like, she's very artistic, and I think whatever, she cares. She's not like being distracted, but it's like I don't need to look through her notebook all the time to like make sure she's not doing something foolish. But I might every once in a while, and she should not feel like weirded out or like violated if I do, or if she sees me doing it.
And a lot of that is on, I think a lot of that is dependent on how you do it too.
Oh, sure. But like, but also setting the example, right? So here's my phone. And this is very dangerous because again, I have my phone at Future Men all the time and I leave it everywhere because I'm old or don't care. I don't know. But I don't have a password on my phone.
Forget.
I don't have anything on it. But it's like, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But like, that's different than even like my own phone, right? I don't have a password on my phone. And my kids always, hey, can I look up something on your phone? Can I do this on your phone? I'm like, yes. Knowing, and they know this too, if they're looking up something on the internet, they've got to be by me, if it's Angus. If it's the girls, I'm not as worried about pornography, which I know girls can get into it as well. But like Ren will use my phone a lot, and she'll like take pictures of like things she wants to draw to make cards or whatever. And it's like, great, you can use that. But they're learning from me, there's not secrecy in the phone. You can go through my trunk and look at my console. There's nothing in there that I've hidden from you or from your mother. It's like, we're open. We should be.
And they read your messages.
Yeah, and I don't care.
I do. They're like, I saw you texted Dad about this. I'm like, oh, it was private.
but there's probably balance. But my point is just, I can't expect something from them that I'm a hypocrite on. And again, I'm not inviting them into the sexual content of my marriage, right? Or the intricate like financial stuff in my business. They don't need to know some of those things. But in general, there's an openness, and our kids need to have it with us. And like, that's a huge like point of contention with Future Men boys and their parents. I mean, they're just like, they get so frustrated with us because they can't have these notebooks. And you look through their notebooks and it's all about like, I mean, there's some evil stuff. It's just sad. It's like, you need somebody to go through this stuff. You need to be talking through, why would you write that? Why would you draw that picture? Why would you say things like, F, my mom and dad, or whatever it is that's in that diary? It's sad. And our society's told us privacy is a right.
Yeah.
It's like, no. But that's what it teaches. So you just got to figure out again, where do you want to go?
It's your thing. Stop there. We really do have to stop here because we're sort of running out of time here. But we kind of missed some things, but I think that was a good demonstration of just like, you start with the end in mind. Don't go into things blindly, but try to start with an intentional. What's the point here? Where are we gonna end up, and why do we want to end up there? If you do have questions about specific situations, or if you're confused about anything, you can always email us at futurefamilies@gmail.com. Please do comment, like, and subscribe. You can also comment your questions. That works just as well.
True.
And hit the notification bell.
If you're on YouTube.
The hype button.
And leave a good review if you're anywhere else. I don't know how reviews work on Spotify and iTunes, but.
And remember, you're not the exception.
Ooh.
Nor are your kids. I'll drop this mic and break it.
Please don't drop this mic and break it. Anyway, we will see you guys next week where we talk about something else fun.
Bye.